Hey there, and welcome to the first retouch, section 4. In this section we're going to be working on the eyes as well as other small details in the photos like the lips and the nose, and we may even play around with some fingernails. Alright, let's go ahead and get into it. We got a lot of really fun stuff to do. So I'm going to create a new layer here, and we're going to group this with itself. Now we can start to name these groups if we want. I'm just going to double click, call this eyes. This one is mostly hair, so we'll just call this hair. This one is skin color, and you know what, that looks a little too yellow in there, doesn't it? You may not have thought that just now, but I did. So we're just going to lower the opacity of this just a little bit. There we go, that's looking a little bit better. Alright, so we'll just type in color here, frequency, separation, and retouch. Looking good. Okay, so here in our eyes group, we're going to go ahead and zoom in, Command plus a couple times to do that. And we're going to start off with a curves adjustment layer. Go ahead and bring that up quite a bit, which is going to help brighten the eyes. And I'm going to hit Command I to invert that layer mask. Alright, now let's grab a 50 pixel retouch brush. You know what, we'll make it a little bit smaller. Quick shortcut, you can hold down Control and Option and drag left and the right to make that larger and smaller. If you're on a PC, it's going to be Control and Alt and right click. I haven't used a PC in a while, so excuse my unfamiliarity with the shortcuts. Okay, there we go. So on this layer mask, which is painted completely black now, we're going to paint white right around this area here in the eyes, just like that. Alright, and you can see I'm kind of like painting in a way that, you know, I'm not just like painting like this. I'm kind of painting in a way that mimics what's going on here with the eyes, and that's just going to help it look a little bit more natural. Alright, even from there it looks decent. We are going to give this a blur though, so let's go to filter, down here to blur, and to Gaussian blur. We'll start with a pretty low radius, and I'm just going to use the up arrow to increase the blur. Alright, if you hold shift and up or down, it'll move by a full number. Just regular up or down, it will move by like a point. So just down, see 0.6, 0.5, 0.4, but if I hit shift down, 2.4. Shift up a couple times, 7.4. So it's a fast way to work on your image. Alright, all about speed here. That looks pretty good. 1 point. Basically I just wanted to like not be able to tell that I did that with a brush in Photoshop. Alright, there we go, 1.7 looks pretty good. So we're going to hit enter. You know what, it needs a little bit more blur. Alright, there we go. Cool, well that looks good. Let's go ahead and just do another one, why not? I think that looks pretty good. This time instead of just grabbing RGB, I'm going to grab red. I'm going to put more red in the eyes. There we go. And we're going to put some green in the eyes as well. Alright, there we go. And let's zoom in. I'm going to hit Command or Control I on that layer mask again. Alright, and we're just going to do the same kind of thing there. Big blotches. There we go. Alright, and let's just do a blur on that as well. We'll use a Gaussian blur. Okay, and then we'll lower the opacity to about 50% or so. Alright. Beautiful. Those are looking really good. Okay, let's go ahead and zoom in and see what we can do. Little details here in the eyes. I'm going to switch back to our spot healing brush tool, and we're going to make this a little bit smaller. And basically on a new layer, there we go, start painting over top of these eyes, just for like little details, like little veins and things like that in the eyes themselves. And again, we don't have to go perfect with this, it's just anything that's like slightly distracting we want to see if we can get rid of. Okay, cool. Next we're going to do a little bit of dodging and burning on the eyes. I'm going to create a new layer, and we're basically just going to paint with white and black on this layer. So if I just paint with white, let's just bring our there we go, paint with white and then paint with black. If If I change this layer blend mode from normal to soft light, you can see it's basically the equivalent of dodging and burning here, right? So white and black. Alright, now I'm at an opacity of 100% and a flow of 80%. If I hit Shift 4 or Shift 3 on my keyboard, then I'm going to be painting with a flow of 30%. So it would allow me to kind of like build up an effect. Alright, if you want to delete everything, just hit Command A, which selects everything, and then hit the delete key. Alright, there we go. So we're going to do a little bit of dodging and burning around both of these eyes. And, you know, whenever I'm doing this sort of thing, I just like kind of just like zone out a little bit and take my time with it. You know, this is really an area where you can make a big difference in your photos. The key here really is like find areas that are like light in color and just help them be a little bit lighter. Alright, so the bottom of like the eyelid there. Alright, we can even do the whole center of the eye. Maybe the black of the eye we want to be a little bit darker. Right, maybe the border of the eye. We want that to be a little bit darker there as well. So I'm painting black right now. There we go. Painting white down here. White around this area there. Kind of open up that shadow a little bit there. If you find you need to put less ink, it's not really ink. If you want to put less white or black down, just hit Shift and then the number on your keyboard. So like Shift 1 will get you to 10% flow. Alright. So I'm going to paint with white now. About 20% flow. So I'll just hit Shift 2 on my keyboard. Kind of enhance this a little bit more. Alright. And I would say, like, don't worry about overdoing it. Like, let's say you're like, what if I do too much or whatever. Like, it's just a layer. Like, you can always delete it or lower the opacity or grab your eraser or a myriad of other options. But I would say, like, you know, this is your time to like get in there and really have some kind of like fun, because you can really affect a lot in an image with dodging and burning. And we're going to be doing more dodging and burning in the next section. In this case, we're just working with the eyes, because the eyes are kind of like a special, the eyes are a real special part of a portrait. You want to spend a good amount of time just working on eyes in a portrait. It's just going to be really rewarding. Like if you know, if I spent like a long time like making the hair right down here like perfect, you know, I just probably won't ever notice, and probably no one else will too, you know. And it's just not time that's going to be really well spent. But if you spend time like getting your eyes, the eyes in your photo like really nice, chances are that's going to come back to you. Man, like, whoa, check out the eyes. There's just, eyes are a natural focal point anyway, so spending a little bit of time on these is I think it's a good idea. So I'm darkening up the eyelashes here, and when I do this, I sometimes think of like makeup techniques, like mascara and stuff like that. It's like, okay, well, if they're gonna darken the eyes and stuff like that with mascara, like obviously it's, you know, they're doing it for a reason, right? So just kind of try to follow the same things there. All right, and maybe make this a little bit lighter. Alright, let's make this visible and not visible. Dang, that did a lot. That actually, like, I was surprised. I didn't expect it to make that much of a difference, but it did. So, and I don't mind it, so it's nice. It made a difference, and I like it. So, but yeah, basically just painting with like black and white on a soft light adjustment layer. Okay. You're like, is this the first time you've ever dodged and burned, Aaron? Like, why are you so surprised? It's what happens. I was just like building up, you know, like right now I'm painting this little area white, and then I'll paint another little area black, and then the combined efforts of all those things, just, it can be really cool to see. Alright, and you see I'm changing my brush size to about, you know, what I feel is appropriate for each of these different, like for instance, if I'm to color this highlight right here, I'm going to hold Control and Option, click and drag to the right, and bring my brush to about that size, so I can paint a highlight that's about that big, right? Okay, if I wanted to make in here darker, I would just make my brush a little bit smaller, hit the X key to paint with black, and there we go. Going a little bit darker. Okay. Cool. Yeah, I would say that looks pretty good. I mean, it definitely looks retouched. Looks like, whoa! But, you know, still pretty good. Just kind of mimicking what's going on with the makeup there a little bit. Alright. I'm going to lower the opacity a little bit, just because, to be honest, I think people have a tendency to go overboard whenever they're working with like dodging and burning, and I am definitely a part of that. Like I know that I'm one of those people who tends to go overboard. So whenever I do that sort of thing, I just lower the opacity, and it kind of just corrects you from yourself. It protects you from yourself, not corrects you. Alright, on a new layer, we're just going to, I want to fill in some of this, what's going on with the eyebrows. So I'm going to hit S for the clone stamp tool. I'm going to sample the current and below, and we're just going to start, I'm going to sample here and start painting in. Okay, and I'm going to change my blend mode from normal down to darken. Okay, and this is only going to allow me to darken hair here in my eyebrow area. There we go, which is just a really easy way of filling it in. But it's all going to look like hair too. See, it still looks like hair. It's a lot different from just like painting black. It's a clone. I'm clone stamping in more hair, but the hair that I'm clone stamping in will only darken. Alright, and now I'm going to create a new layer and clone stamp just to lighten that little area there. Alright, let's create a new layer, and I'm going to clone stamp over a couple of these hairs here. So S for the clone stamp tool, and then we're going to hold Alt or Option to sample our area and then paint right over it. Alright, now don't be afraid to just go ahead and remove some hair or whatever it is in Photoshop, because, you know, again, it's like if you don't like it, like if you don't think it was good, then, you know, you can just delete it and start over again. The layer, that is. Alright, there we go. So, kind of bringing that down a little bit there. Trying to kind of match what's going on the right and left. Okay, spot healing brush tool to kind of knock some of these hairs down here out of the way. Alright, beautiful. Yeah, that looks really great. Okay, next let's do a little bit of dodging and burning on the nose area. So I'm going to create a new layer. Oh, you know what? We are still in our eyes group, aren't we? So let's turn this eyes group off and on so we can see. There's it before and the after. Dang, pretty awesome. Alright, let's create a new layer. I'm going to group this with itself. We're going to call this nose and mouth. Alright, on this layer I'm going to change it to a soft light layer. Okay, and we're going to paint white and black on this layer. So paint white right down here, down the bridge of the nose. Maybe a little highlight at the edge of the nose, just for separation there. Alright, we're going to paint a little more detail here in the mouth, add a little bit of light area up here. Alright, now I'm going to grab the eraser tool because I just painted too much, so grabbing the eraser tool and kind of fixing that up a little bit. Alright, I'm painting white above the lips here. That's just a real good area if you want to make a place a little bit brighter. Right above the lips is a good place to do that. Alright, we're going to paint with white here and here. Again, I'm just kind of following the natural highlights that exist. Alright, and then the shadows are going to come right down here. So now I'm painting with black. Alright, and I'm going to grab my eraser tool. Alright, and we're going to paint with more black on the inside there. Alright, and I'm going to erase it away so we can see any teeth. Alright, let's lower the opacity. I think I went a little bit overboard with that. Alright, that looks pretty good there. Cool. Alright guys, that's looking really nice. Okay, let's go ahead and turn those both on and off and look at the before and after. We are getting pretty close really. Let's turn these off and then back on. Some dodging and burning. Wow, what a difference. I mean, that looks good, but that looks like unreal. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's unreal. Great. That's the end of this section. We'll see you in our next section where we're going to be dodging and burning the image as a whole, and we're going to show you how to sharpen, and we're going to be finishing the image up. Alright, we'll see you in the next section.